The old phone in her tiny kitchen buzzed, shattering the silence. "Hello?" she said softly, clutching the wallet she had found that morning. A deep, cold voice answered. "Who is this?" She hesitated before whispering. "I found your wallet, sir." The silence on the other end felt heavy, dangerous. Then came the words that would change her life forever. "Don't move. I'm coming to you." Rain streamed down in silver lines against the grimy windows of the small apartment, the kind of night that made the whole city feel lonely. Emma Carter stood by the sink, still wearing her faded diner uniform, the smell of coffee and fried food clinging to her. Her back ached from double shifts, and her eyes burned from exhaustion. But when she looked at the small figure asleep on the couch, her 7-year-old daughter Lily, her heart softened. Every sacrifice, every sleepless night was for her. She reached into her purse to pull out her last few dollars, hoping it was enough to buy groceries in the morning, when her fingers brushed against something unfamiliar. She frowned and pulled out a black leather wallet. It was sleek, expensive-looking, and heavy. She didn't remember owning anything that nice. Curious, she opened it carefully and froze. Inside were several crisp $100 bills, a platinum credit card, and an ID that made her breath hitch. The name read Lorenzo DeLuca. Emma's hand trembled. Everyone in the city had heard that name. It belonged to a man people only spoke of in whispers, the kind of man who could make people disappear with a single word. The newspapers called him a businessman, but the streets called him something else. The Mafia Boss who ruled half the city's underground. She felt her stomach twist. She sat down slowly, trying to think. She remembered a man from earlier that evening, tall, dressed in a black tailored suit, his presence commanding even in the noisy diner. He hadn't said much, only ordered a black coffee and sat in the corner booth, glancing occasionally out the window as if waiting for something. When he left, she found a thick tip under the cup. She must have accidentally picked up his wallet when clearing the table. Her first instinct was to throw it away or drop it off anonymously, but she couldn't. She wasn't a thief. She had worked too hard to teach Lily right from wrong. Taking a deep breath, she looked at the business card tucked neatly inside the wallet. Lorenzo DeLuca, DeLuca Holdings. Beneath it, a phone number. Her hands shook as she picked up her old phone. She hesitated before dialing, praying she wasn't making a mistake. The line rang once, twice, then connected. "Who is this?" The voice on the other end was deep, smooth, but dangerously calm. My name is Emma Carter," she stammered. "I think I found your wallet. You left it at Millie's diner earlier today." There was silence. She could hear faint murmurs in the background, men's voices low and serious. Then the same voice came back, colder this time. "Where are you now?" Her heart pounded. I can drop it off at your office tomorrow." "I didn't mean to—" "Don't move," he interrupted. "Text me your address. I'm coming to you." Before she could respond, the line went dead. Emma's breath caught. The phone slipped slightly from her hand. "Mommy?" A sleepy voice murmured. Lily rubbed her eyes, holding her teddy bear. "Who was that?" Emma forced a smile. "No one, sweetheart, just someone from work." But as she looked toward the rain-slicked street outside, headlights appeared. 2 black cars stopping in front of the building. Dark figures stepped out, their suits glistening under the streetlights. And when the back door opened, a tall man emerged, his presence radiating quiet power and danger. Emma's heart thudded in her chest. The wallet still lay on the table, open, his name gleaming under the flickering light. Lorenzo DeLuca had come. And in that moment, the small apartment no longer felt safe. It felt like the beginning of something she couldn't escape. The sound of heavy footsteps echoed through the narrow hallway before a firm knock rattled the thin door. Emma froze, her heart slamming against her ribs. Every instinct screamed at her not to open it, but she couldn't ignore it either. She swallowed hard, brushing her trembling hands on her apron before unlocking the door. When it swung open, the hallway lights caught a glimpse of 3 men standing outside. 2 were dressed in dark suits, broad-shouldered and silent, their sharp gazes sweeping the small apartment behind her. The third man stood slightly apart, tall, composed, his tailored black coat glistening with rain. His eyes were deep and unreadable, the kind that commanded a room without a single word. It was him. Lorenzo DeLuca. Emma's breath caught. She had seen him only once from a distance at the diner, but up close he was almost overwhelming, a mixture of danger and elegance, of control and quiet fury. His presence filled the small doorway, and for a long moment he said nothing. He simply looked at her, the trembling woman in a damp uniform who had dared to call him. "You found my wallet," he finally said, his voice low and smooth but edged with steel. "Yes," she whispered. I was cleaning your table and I must have picked it up by accident." "I didn't mean to." He held up a hand, stopping her. "You called the number." His gaze flicked to the table behind her, where the wallet sat under the warm kitchen light. "You could have kept it." "I don't steal," she said quickly, her voice steadier now despite the fear twisting in her stomach. "It didn't belong to me?" Something flickered across his face, surprise maybe, but it was gone before she could name it. He stepped inside without asking permission, his bodyguards waiting silently in the hallway. Emma instinctively moved back, clutching the edge of the counter. Lorenzo picked up the wallet and opened it, checking its contents. Everything was still there. The cash, the cards, even a small silver photograph tucked into one of the pockets. He closed it slowly, his eyes drifting toward the couch. Lily was awake now, sitting up and rubbing her eyes, her stuffed bear clutched tightly. "Mommy?" the little girl whispered. "Who is that man?" Emma's chest tightened. "It's okay, sweetheart," she said softly. "He's just here to pick something up." Lorenzo's gaze softened slightly as he looked at the child, then shifted back to Emma. "You live here?" "Just the two of you?" She nodded, embarrassed by the question. "Yes, it's small, but it's home." He studied her for a moment longer, as though seeing something beyond her words. Then he reached into his coat and took out a thick envelope. He placed it on the table beside the wallet. "What is that?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Payment," he said simply. "For honesty. People like you are rare." "I don't want your money," she said quickly, shaking her head. "I didn't do it for a reward." Lorenzo gave a faint, almost imperceptible smile. "You should learn to accept good fortune when it finds you, Miss Carter." She hesitated, her hand hovering over the envelope. "I just don't want any trouble." He turned to leave, but stopped at the doorway. "You won't have trouble," he said quietly. "You'll have protection." And with that, he was gone, the door closing softly behind him. Emma stood frozen, her pulse still racing. Lily patted over to her, small hand tugging at her sleeve. "Mommy, was he a bad man?" Emma looked down at her daughter, her thoughts a whirlwind. "I don't know, baby," she murmured. "But I think he's someone we'll see again." Outside, the sound of engines faded into the rain, but the name Lorenzo DeLuca lingered in her mind, heavy, dangerous, and strangely comforting. She didn't know it yet, but that one act of honesty had already changed the course of her life. Because somewhere in the back seat of that black car, the Mafia boss was still thinking about the woman who didn't take his money. And for the first time in years, Lorenzo DeLuca smiled.